7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go.
We're back, brothers and sisters. We're live. We're in the House of Justice, 106 West 145th Street, coming to you live on WLIB 1190 AM. It is the National Action Network Saturday Action Rally. I want you to get on your feet right now for the president and founder of the National Action Network, the Reverend Dr. Al Sharpton.
No justice, no peace. No justice, no peace. No justice, no peace. No justice, no peace. What do we want? Justice. What do we want? Justice. What do we want? Justice. When do we want it? Now. When do we want it? Now. When do we want it? Now. Hug the person next to you, tell them you love them. National Action Network Change Choir. Give them a big hand. Give them a big hand. Certainly, we are happy to be here another Saturday morning for the Saturday Action Rally. For you that are live here at the House of Justice, 106 West 145th Street in the Village of Harlem. And for you that are listening live on 1190 WLIB AM in New York, and you that are watching live stream around the country, we're happy to be with you again on a Saturday morning where the action is. Give a hand to our presider, Attorney Michael Hardy. Let me say our broadcast is dedicated today to, of course, the memory of the thousands that died on 9/11, 15 years ago on tomorrow, including some that were related to members of National Action Network. I will never forget that one young man stayed with us 9 weeks, lost his mother in the attack on the Twin Towers. And he is now grown to be a fine minister and is a minister at Memorial Baptist Church, Brother Minister Travis. Boyd, you see him all the time, lost his mother that day. We also dedicate this broadcast to the memory of those girls, 3 little girls killed September 15th in the Brown Chapel, in the 16th Street Baptist Church in Birmingham, Alabama. In Birmingham, in 1963, on September 15th, man put dynamite in that church and killed those girls because there was a civil rights movement going through Birmingham. Both of them terrorist attacks. One attack from outside forces, another attack in the country. And you cannot be for or against what is right if you're selective on who you're going to commend or who you're going to condemn when they're wrong. You commend righteousness. You condemn unrighteousness no matter who it is. I also want to dedicate this broadcast to Dabney Montgomery, who passed this week, the last living Tuskegee Airman. And we certainly dedicate this broadcast to him. Let me say in the way of announcements and repeating what Attorney Hardy has said, don't forget that on tomorrow, well, first of all, this afternoon, you in the Boston area, I'll be speaking this afternoon at the University of Massachusetts in Amherst. And then on tomorrow, of course, Politics Nation with Al Sharpton on MSNBC. I'll be live on MSNBC in the morning, 8 a.m. I'm going to do the show live for 9/11 at 8 a.m. Then 9 o'clock will be our Sunday morning radio show from 9 to 10. Then at 3 o'clock tomorrow afternoon, going home, we're going to, I'm going to preach for the anniversary services of Reverend Harold Burton in Brownsville, where I'm from, at the Brownsville Community Baptist Church, 600 Mother Gaston Boulevard. I remember when it was Stone Avenue. So does Bishop Daughtry. Bishop Daughtry a little older than me. He might remember when it was Stone. But we'll be there at 3 o'clock tomorrow in Brooklyn for Reverend Harold Burton, who pastored, I think, 45 or 50 years. But as long as I can remember, he was there first under Bishop Roy Brown and then became pastor. I'll be preaching his anniversary in the afternoon. Let me thank all of you that went to Washington on this week for National Action Network's Legislative and Policy Conference. It was quite a success. I think we had more people from around the country from NAN chapters than any of the 4 years we've done it. And more members of Congress and Senate come and brief us. And I'm going to talk more about that in a minute. I just wanted to commend Ebony Riley, our Washington Bureau Director, for her coordination on that. As well as I wanted to make you all aware, as has been stated off air, that we are all headed Sunday after next, not this Sunday, tomorrow, but next Sunday, to Atlanta for National Action Network's Triumph Awards. And the Triumph Awards is our annual entertainment and cultural awards. And this is the second year we're doing it in Atlanta. We used to do it here at Lincoln Center. Many of you would go. This is the second year in Atlanta, and it's going to be televised on TB1 on October 2nd, the eve of my birthday. And we this year, Spike Lee will be there, Pete Diddy, Jermaine Dupri, Dionne Warwick, and the list goes on. Nick Cannon, and some rappers whose name I don't know. But Dominique is co-producing this, so I guess they clean. But we gonna have a great night. Tickets are free. And a lady stopped me the other day and said, "Reverend Mal, I used to go to Lincoln Center, to the one every year. Now you have it in Atlanta. I need a ticket. I need you to help me with the ticket. I said, I already took care of your ticket. It's free. She said, no, I mean my airline ticket. I said, you want me to do everything? I done paid for your ticket to get in. The least you can do is buy your ticket to get down. She said, you're right, that's fair. I guess it hit her when you got home that I got the cheapest end of that deal. But I think it is important. One of the things that I think we miss is that in this particular time that we live, the imagery of blacks in culture and in our entertainment world has almost become one-dimensionally negative. Now, we had, when I was growing up, black exploitation films, but we also had ballads. So you would have Sidney Poitier and something else, or Bill and Harry Belafonte and them, and, you know, Superfly. Now it's all Superfly. Everything you see is drug selling and gang banging. Very few. That's why I like Anthony Anderson at Blackish and have him up every year at our convention, because very few solid images. And we must encourage our artists and young musicians and some of the old ones that they have a responsibility to project something that our young folk want to emulate. One of the things, I see stand-up Yama Brown's here this morning, James Brown's daughter. And one of the things James Brown taught us, and I learned personally from him, is that you cannot project negative and expect positive. He made one song, Say Loud, I'm Black and I'm Proud, and it lasted 50 years later. People don't say James Brown made Black and Proud in '68, died in 2006, and people still remember it. Some of these artists make a record now, September 10th, and you don't remember it November 10th. Because you haven't said anything that means anything. That difference between getting a hit and in setting a trend and correcting a historic misnomer. So we really haven't produced many James Browns and Aretha Franklins and others that have stood for something. I was reading earlier this morning that one of the groups that Oprah had done, or whatever happened to boys, what is it, I can't remember the name, Boys to Men. And they were talking about how famous fleeting, show you how fleeting it is, I forgot the name and I read it this morning. And they were saying that part of the challenge of fame is to stay famous. And that is part of the problem. Part of the problem is that many folk, whether they're artists or athletes or activists or preachers, just want to be famous and will do anything to be famous. Every time you see them, they're doing anything for attention. The only way you're going to last is if you're famous for something, not famous for fame. Dr. King was famous, but he was famous for a reason. Which is why 48 years later they celebrate his birthday with a federal holiday. He wasn't just famous. There were some famous preachers during the same time nobody remembers. And the problem, a lot of activists, I talk all the time about this with senior staff. A lot of activists, well, somebody's standing in my way, I need to get more face time, I need to get out there. If you stood for something, Everybody would have to get out of your way. Your problem is that you see it as FaceTime for you. I remember some folk wanted to speak at one of the rallies. I said, let them speak, and they got up and said what was already being said. Because it wasn't like you had a point nobody else was making, you just wanted to be seen. Hello. That ain't activism. And I think that one of the reasons we do Triumph Awards is to try and bring out artists and entertainers and expose what they are doing beyond their fame to encourage them to do something in the communities that made them. I had Puffy on last Sunday morning on my show, and he was talking about his charter school and all. And I thought it was very positive that he wants to get involved in education. And he had his political opinions. But Puffy and them are beginning to understand they're getting older. All right now. Puffy is 47 years old. I told him, you got a son graduating from UCLA. You'll be granddad Puff in a minute. My youngest daughter, Ashley, was 29 day before yesterday. She'll be here in a minute. Late, but she stay late so she can come late. She work all night. I know she listens and say, why I tell her? But and she's 29, but what the most wonderful thing, Bishop Daughtry, is when we walk down the street, people say to her, is that your brother? Now I know she's gonna get in a hurry now. But my point is that life goes on. So what you stand for is more than your fleeting flirtation with fame. Because life goes on and then ends. So the question is what you're going to use in the span of that time. That's why when we were dealing with the legislative conference and on, it is where the only way you're going to have change is it's got to be permanent change. One of the things that we did in Washington this week, as we met with the senators and the congressmen, and we spent the afternoon at the White House, is deal with legislation because our contention, it comes out of our training. Bishop Daughtry, give him a hand who's here this morning. Bishop Daughtry would tell you the training they would give us, he among others, in breadbasket when I was a kid, is that you have demonstration that may invariably lead at times to confrontation, but then it must lead to legislation and then reconciliation. A lot of folk get to the demonstration part and stop. Then some go from the demonstration part to the demonstration and confrontation and stop. But if that is not the prerequisite to some legislation, then you haven't changed nothing. And then after you legislate, you reconcile. Because it's not about just taking sides. After you have done it all, you reconcile the sides and form a new society. But some of us confuse drama with activism. Just because you're dramatic doesn't mean that you're activist unless it's going to lead to change. Just jumping up and down making noise, but not about some fundamental permanent change. You should be in a theater, on stage, performing. So that's why we sat down. And we had Congresswoman Terry Sewell, as one of the Congress people said, as you visit the congressional people, I want you to tell them to vote for VR. Y'all write this down. BR 2864. You that watch me around the country that didn't come to Washington. Call your congressperson and tell them we want them to vote for BR 2864. What is BR 2864? When in the Fisher case in the Supreme Court, when they voted to remove the map in the Voting Rights Act, I want y'all to hear me in the beauty parlor. A lot of folk are confused about voting rights. I want to break this down this morning. I'm going to holler and yell in a minute, but I want y'all to get some substance. Y'all like gravy with no rice. Putting A1 on your plate rather than on some steak. Just eating sauce. When they had the Fisher case a couple of years ago, and we were there in the courtroom, Attorney Harding and I was at the oral arguments, the Fisher case was saying that because of the Voting Rights Act of '65, they wanted to first overturn the whole Voting Rights Act. Now, a lot of misinformed, some well-intentioned, but misinformed people say, why do we need the Voting Rights Act for blacks to have the right to vote when everybody else has the right to vote and they don't have to renew it? The Voting Rights Act does not give you the right to vote. The Constitution gives everybody the right to vote. That is not up for renewal. We get that with everybody else. The reason they had the Voting Rights Act is because there were districts and states in the country that put impediments in the way to block or to slow down blacks from voting. The Voting Rights Act said in those states or counties or districts that had a history of discriminating against blacks, that they cannot make any changes in the voting regulations without it being pre-cleared by the Justice Department. That's the Voting Rights Act. So, for example, do we have the right to vote? Absolutely, guaranteed by the Congress. But in Mississippi, they would come up with things like, you got a right to vote, but you got to answer these questions. How many beans in a jar? How many cows on a hill? The Voting Rights Act meant they could not come with any test to vote. Because the way they were getting around it is saying, well, we're not denying your right to vote, but in our state we have these regulations. The Voting Rights Act meant you couldn't put any regulations there if you had a history of that. And that was in states all over the South and in 2 districts in New York. That was the Voting Rights Act, am I right, Attorney Harding? So people run around trying to act like they know something they don't know. Why we got to get the renewal of the Voting Rights Act so we can vote? No, we renewed it. They cannot change the regulations in certain areas that impede our right to vote. What the Fisher case did was take away the map, saying that the Shelby case, I'm sorry, Fisher was affirmative action. Shelby case said, no, you no longer have a map that anybody can change the rules, and they don't have to pre-clear it with Justice Department. Immediately after the Shelby case, where the Supreme Court did that 3 years ago, Texas and everybody changed and had these voter ID laws and ended early voting and Sunday go to the poll, because they no longer had to clear it with the Justice Department. That is what happened. What VR 2864 is saying that we need to reinstitute pre-clearance in these states and re-empower the Voting Rights Act. So that's one. Secondly, we were briefed on having legislation that would deal with our employment situation. These are real deal things. So when we go to Washington, we got to deal with employment legislation. We've got to deal with the voting legislation in terms of VR 2864. And we need to deal with the threshold that you have to have a federal civil rights violation. In November of 2014, we brought 50,000 people to Washington around the issue. Part of the problem of getting federal cases on racism and police brutality and all is that we must have the bar lowered because the federal prosecutor has to reach certain bars to justify a case. What do you mean by that, Sharpton? They've got to have certain elements to qualify for a federal case. So if you've got 6 elements and you only reach 3, they can't bring the federal case because you've not answered the 6. We're saying you don't need those 6, 2 would do. But that has to be changed by law. Who changes the law? The Senate and the Congress. So that's why everybody run around talking about it. I don't know why y'all sitting around meeting with the senators and the congressmen. We ought to be raised in hell. Raised in hell so the senators and congressmen will change the law. That's why we meet with them. Run me right into New York. We want transparency on what police have done. I support that. National Action Network supported that. A policeman's behavior and background ought to be transparent, including Pantaleo, including Pantaleo. All of that needs to be public. Now, the city and the mayor has said that their state law says that, and the PBA, state law bars you from releasing any disciplinary action on police and firemen and others. That's their argument. The governor said, no, that's not true. City's been violating that for years. Well, I want to talk to the governor. I want to try to meet with him and the mayor all in this week. Rather than getting an argument about whether it's true or not and has been enforced or not, why don't we change that law? Rather than playing ping pong with transparency, why don't we change the law? If the law is on the book and has not been enforced, it's still on the book. Change the law. So I will meet with both, I hope to meet with both of them and say, let's go up here, because everybody wants to just take shots and play the political game. Miss Gwen Carr was here this morning, Eric Garner's mother. Said, all I want is all the facts out, but I don't want nothing to interfere with the federal government finishing its federal investigation. And don't use me as a political football. They got her at a press conference this week, she wasn't even there. They got in the paper, she said something at a press conference, she wasn't even there. But they so caught up in this back and forth that they don't care about the lives that are lost and the transparency that was needed. I know the press listened to the broadcast. Tell the governor and the mayor and the police, I will meet with them this week. I want us to talk about how we change the law. Now, at the same time, we want the federal government to proceed. Now, the reason why the family of Gardner took a position on another issue of not moving for an immediate police trial, which would put all that out, which they want, is that if the police are called now unto a police hearing, they will therefore say that you are violating my constitutional right to whatever it is that the feds are looking into. And we don't want to forfeit the feds having to reveal anything that would stop whatever it is they're doing in hopes that we get a federal case. Once the federal government comes back and makes its decision, next step won't be that we want a police trial, whether there's a case or not with the feds. But that's why you got to, again, be an activist, that not a dramatist and a mouthologist. Now, same thing with this whole controversy around the parade. I went to the parade Monday morning because one of the outstanding events in this city since I was a child is the West Indian Day Caribbean Parade and Festival. Now, Javert, in the last 2 or 3 years, has had violence. And I said on Monday morning at the breakfast, before the parade started, that those that commit and engage in violence are besmirching the conduct of the overwhelming majority of the people that participate in the celebrating of our roots in the Caribbean and are selling out our community because you cannot contain whatever it is that you are fighting about for a higher purpose of what Javert and or the parade is about. Now they want to argue about whether we should continue. And I want to see the man them about that, because you must conduct in a way that the public is safe, but the culture is protected. There's got to be mid-ground there. What is the standard going to be if you have 2 or 3 years of violence? That the public must be protected, but at the same time, and there's no question we want the public protected, and there's no question those that violate should face the law, but at the same time, we can't disparage the culture and the celebration of our life. We need to see how all of us talk about that. That is why everything is not a political football. Every time they get something, Rep Sharp, they did so-and-so, do you support the president on that? If you don't, headline, Sharp then turn on Obama. You supported de Blasio. You support de Blasio on the parade. So I refuse to get in this kind of back and forth, because our interests are deeper than some blogger or some reporter's tomorrow story. Because there's a story day after tomorrow too. I tell a lot of our young NAN leaders, don't get caught up in a one-day story. NASDAQ's never 25 years old. We done had a whole lot of stories every day. Get caught up on what your life gonna mean, your service gonna mean. And make a statement that guides toward that. We want to see fundamental change. When I went and said that I was with de Blasio, it was because of stopping French, what was changed? Pre-K, what was changed? I ain't taking daily shots. Daughtry been out here over half a century pastoring and leading in this town. We've been out here 25 years in NAN. I was out 15 years before that. As a young, we ain't out here this ain't our first rodeo. You trying to shoot your whole load to get in tomorrow's paper. And that's all you gonna be. Because one thing I learned when I was young, we do a lot, and then run the next day, see we in the paper. By 10 o'clock, that paper's wrapping up fish at the mouth. We used to run home at 6, see if we made the news, and we made the news at 6 and was off by the 10 o'clock news. Then he wait the next day, we didn't make the night news. So your life got to be a little deeper than somebody's little news cycle. Somebody have a crisis, you off the news. The question is what we stand for. You want to run up to me the other day. Rebel, who you going to support for mayor next year? You de Blasio last time. I said, we ain't even got through with the president. We ain't seen what's going on with Trump. And you already trying to get me in some mess for next year. So when I go see Cuomo and then de Blasio this week, I'm not talking about no politics. I'm talking to them about the violence, how we deal with that. I'm talking about this transparency law. Don't be asking me, did we talk about next year? I'm still trying to deal with Trump and Hillary. And like I said last week, and Karen Weiss here again today, one of the Central Park 5. We getting ready to hang up the photo. Bring me that photo we took out here last week. I'm hanging that permanently in the House of Justice with Bishop Daughtry and all of us standing with Karen Weiss of the Central Park 5. Well, one of the things that is amazing to me since I went and mentioned that in my statement about Trump is in the 35 years that Trump has been a public figure in New York, we have never heard him come out and comment but on one case. That's Central Park. I thank Brother John for that picture. Thank you, Brother John. Give him a hand. I want y'all to get this clear. I want y'all to get this clear. 1986, Howard Beach happened. Talked to Miss Jean Griffith, the mother of Michael Griffith who was killed in Howard Beach. Talked to the brother Chris Griffith. They're having the 30th recognition in November this year. Reverend Daughtry, me, and others will be there. We led the marches 30 years ago. Right after Howard Beach, Bensonhurst. Right after that, on and on and on. From the New Jersey 4 to the Sean Bell. I mean, you name it. All the way to Eric Garner. 30 years since Howard Beach. We have not heard Donald Trump address one of those cases. 30 years, he lived in New York. Building in New York. Business in New York. And every major event in New York was a household name for 30 years. The only time he took a stand on a case is when he spent thousands of dollars buying ads calling for the death penalty for the 5 young black and Latino boys that were called wrong in the rape of this woman in Central Park. Now, remember, every case y'all fought didn't come right, but we fought many cases. This is the only case he stood up on. So why were you so moved? What were you playing to? That you would spend 85 grand just on the New York Times thing, just that one, and accuse these young blacks and Latino 5 young men of wilding and said they must be executed. But you weren't moved when a black kid was killed in your borough, Queens, where you come from, because he was a black guy in the wrong neighborhood. Why didn't that move you? Or a black kid in Bensonhurst. Why didn't that move you? Selective outrage makes people selective when you offer yourself for office. I remember there was a young Jewish young man named Gideon Bush killed by police. We stood up and said it was wrong, and the police should be prosecuted. I went out to the area, Orthodox Jewish area. The people told me, don't go, they do not like you out there. I went out there, they was out the street booing that I'd come to see Miss Bush, the mother. Guys in the car with me said, don't get out the car. I said, I'm going to show. I support right if it's black, white, Jew, or Gentile. All I want is Trump to show me the same thing. Okay, if I'm wrong, the Donald, then show me what case you stood up. Show me the ad you bought around any of the other cases. Show me where you made the statement that this was wrong. But if all you can show me is that, then I got to deal with that. And by the way, since you say you're running on your business acumen, show me who in our community you do business with. I mean, you've been building and all of this for 30 years, got casinos, got buildings. What didn't find? Show me the black contractors and black plumbers. Show me the black businesses that you've given contracts to. By the way, show me the black executives in the Trump organization. I mean, since you said that you're running as a businessman, show me who you want to do business with. And the way I believe it is show me who you've done business with. Right. Lloyd Williams here this morning, member of the organization, head of Uptown Chamber of Commerce. He got plenty of businessmen that know how to deal with everything from architecture, engineering, to plumbing, to all of that stuff that you need and use for real estate. Show me how many times you sat down with Lloyd and said, I got to make sure that black businesses flourish. But you're going to wait till 35 years later and go to a black church in Detroit and talk about we going to help black business. You 70 years old, when you going to do it? You 70 years old and never been to a black church yet? Right? 70 years old. And it's the first time I've been to a black church. You should at least been ashamed to tell anybody. Right? You live in New York. Right? Third of it black, third of it Latino, third of it white. And it's the first time you ever see black folk clapping in a church. And you want to be our president? Amarosa never took you to church for last Sunday. How about that, right? The issues, the policies what we must weigh it all on. That's why I gave you the legislative piece. That's why I'm dealing with the record of Donald Trump. That's why I'm dealing with the transparency law. Because when they get through with all this, it is what is going to be the policy and the law that's going to matter. They get through having fun with Trump and Hillary, it's going to be what is left in the law that's going to protect us or not. When they get through with Cuomo and the mayor fighting, we got to live with these transparency laws. That's why when you look at, as I was saying, Attorney Hardy and I sat in the courtroom when the Supreme Court had the oral arguments on the Shelby case. And I was there on the Fisher case. Whoever is the president of the United States come January, they have one seat open and probably two more, maybe over the next 4 years. You're talking about 3 seats in the Supreme Court. That court will decide whether to further erode the Voting Rights Act. That court will decide everything from whether or not we keep the Affordable Care Act, affirmative action, all that. This ain't about whether Hillary's exciting or Trump got good sense. This is about some very serious generational questions. Whatever the Supreme Court decides will be in the book, could be 40, 50 years until another bench is there that'll change it, if they change it at all. And if we don't project that, that's why I hear Don Jones asking folk to go out and vote the primary Tuesday. Lady said to me, well, I don't know, it's just local election. I said, the local elections determine where the money come down. They got a state senate seat up here in Harlem. Where do you think if we get a jobs bill or an infrastructure bill, where do you think the money comes down? Through your local legislators. So President Obama signed and got through the Affordable Care Act, and some of the local governors and counties refused to use it. Right. It is all connected. Right. So that's why I want to deal in substance this morning on a lot of this. Because a lot of us are looking at the wrong thing. And if they can distract you, they can attack you. We got corporate office downtown. And every day I leave 30 Rock after doing my radio show, right down to the corporate office. I got to go through Times Square because the corporate office is in Times Square, down there with the unions and all. And one of the things I notice every day, Ash and I'll be right, is that, I told y'all Ash would be here when I start talking about the radio. One of the things we watch is they beat the tourists out their money in these 3-card Monte games. Is 3-card Monte or 5-card? 3. I know Attorney Hardy didn't know. He wasn't a lawyer all his life. He gave it up years ago. He had to get through law school, so he had to do what he had to do. But the 3-card Monte game, and the way they beat you in the 3-card Monte game is distract you. See, I didn't come from Alabama where my mama come from. I didn't come from Georgia where Yama come from. I come from New York. So I've been watching folk beat folk all their life. And they get you distracted. It's about watching the cards, distracted, you beat you out your money. If they can distract you, they can keep laws in that attack you because you're distracted on the wrong thing. Why black folk got to get the right to vote every 5 years? Distraction. That ain't true. Well, Hillary don't turn me on. Distraction. We talking about Supreme Court. We talking about continuing what Obama did. They are trying to distract us. And if we go for the distraction, we set ourselves up for the attack. Ever ask yourself, if Dr. King was such a loving, forgiving, noble man that the country celebrated, then why for years did they hunt him down and finally kill him? Yes. Because he made fundamental change that changed the social and legal landscape of this country. Your threat ain't how bad you talk. Your threat is how much you change. When Dr. King changed the voting laws, where they couldn't do anything to block us from our rights to vote with the Voting Rights Act, and then the Civil Rights Act, where they could not tell us we could not use public accommodation. That changed the culture of this country. I think a lot of young folk and Northerners like me don't imagine. It took my mother to explain that to me. Imagine getting on a bus and you can't sit in the front even if it's empty seats. Imagine having to use the restroom and they say no blacks allowed here. And this man emerges and changes all of that. Where whites that had been raised and trained that we were less than human, so don't eat with them and don't sleep with them, all of a sudden see us in the next hotel room and in the restaurant at the next counter. That's why they killed King. He flipped where America was, which was a real change. If you don't change nothing, you ain't as bad as you think you are. Well, Ramal, that's what we need now. Keep changing. That is what we need now. But let me tell you something. I want y'all to get this. One of the reasons that a lot of us don't get the change we want is we're waiting on something else from somewhere else. I'll even make it more personal. The reason why a lot of you are not getting what you want in your own life is because you're looking for something to drop out the sky. Now, y'all right now, everybody sitting in this audience, got something you want to happen in your life. Everybody got a miracle they want. I need to get out of these bills. I need to stop feeling lonely. I need something. Whatever it is, I need a miracle. And you're looking somewhere else. You're looking, you get on your knees and beg God to drop something on you. I want to help you this morning. God is a miracle God. Let me start there. I believe in miracles. But as I've studied miracles, Bishop Daltrey, there has never been a miracle in the Bible that God didn't use what was already there to make a miracle. Miracles ain't dropped from the sky. Miracles are when God takes what you see every day and uses it to make a miracle. When Jesus fed the 5,000, and they said, Master, the people are hungry. Jesus didn't say, Father, we need a caterer. He took the fishes and the bread that was there and said, I'm going to take what's already here and I'm going to make a miracle by providing for the many with the little. Moses, on the banks of the Red Sea. How are we going to get across this Red Sea? Pharaoh's chariots getting ready to capture us. They didn't drop a bridge from the sky. God said, use the rod already in your hand. Because I already got some dry land under the sea that's already there. Quit looking for something else. When let God use what's there. James Brown put it, you can use what you got to get what you want. We need a new movement. No, you need to move the one you got. I need something new in my life. No, you need to work what you already have in your life. Everything you need for your miracle, you already have. And let me tell you something, the only reason it's not working for you is because you don't believe it can. And if God gave you something new, that would work if you didn't believe it anyway. Because the only thing standing in the way of your miracle is your doubt that the miracle can happen. That's right. The only thing that's blocking your miracle is your lack of faith. Well, right now, how do you get faith in your miracles? Because I've studied this thing. The best way to affirm miracles can happen is to sit and think about the miracles that already happened. The reason I believe in miracles is because I am a miracle. Amen, brother. Amen, brother. I'm going up there to the University of Massachusetts this afternoon. So I don't need no long dissertation, no scholarly kind of evidence. No go get this, go get that. Look at me. First of all, my birth was a divine decision. I was born by a mother from Alabama and a daddy from Florida that came north in the southern migration to come to the north to look for better life out of Jim Crow South. Had two children together. Both of them had children from previous marriages. They came together, raised in East New York, moved to Hollis, Queens, broke up. He abandoned. Rest of my youth on welfare, food stamp. I was never supposed to be anybody. For whatever reason, started preaching at 4. Used to come home from Washington Temple, line up my sister's dolls and preach when I was 3. Finally, the bishop let me preach in the church when I was 4. I couldn't read or write, but was preaching before hundreds of people. I am a miracle. I didn't figure out how to preach. I just preached. I didn't study how to preach. I just preached. I used what was there. Then when Daddy left on welfare and all of that, I didn't single-parent home on welfare in public housing, all I knew is that God would make a way. My mother never told me that our categories, our demographics switched. That we went from a stable home in Queens to be an index somewhere else. All she told me that if you call him, he will answer prayer. Prayer changes things. And I believed in prayer in the projects in Brooklyn, just like I learned it in the Queen's house. And I learned if I called him, I didn't care what the non-miracle believers believed. He would make my way. Why? Because he's made my way ever since. Do I believe in miracles? Yes. I am a miracle. Stood up and fought with folks planning out there. Telling a reporter yesterday, I remember 3 or 4 times they had to put us under police protection. Reverend Doctor will tell you, first time we went to Bensonhurst, they beat up some boys who kicked some cans. Called a march in Bensonhurst. And they called one of the lawyers and said that you better not march, because we picked up on a wire in a social club that they're going to kill Sharp. Because there's bad for business, this march y'all got. And they all met and said, maybe you shouldn't go, Al, maybe you shouldn't march. And I went and marched anyhow. I believe in miracles. I stood downtown charged with tax fraud, 67 counts, and a jury came back in 3 hours and let me go. I believe in miracles. I've seen those that denounce me, announce me. I've seen those that close doors, beg me to come through the same door. I believe in miracles. If you sit down and think about what God has done for you, why would you doubt he can do more? Look at what already done. I'm not going by superstition. I'm going by recollection. I know what he already done. That's why I used to like when we get to church on Sunday morning. And the old choir would get up and sing, we come this far by faith, leaning. The reason they had to lean is sometimes the road get rough and your legs are not strong and you can't stand up by yourself. Sometimes you gotta lean. Sometimes my steps are weak and my eyes unfocused, but I can lean. We come this far, leaning on the Lord, trusting in his holy word. He never failed me yet. I talk a lot to my daughters these days. A lot of my friends failed. A lot of folk I trusted broke my heart. A lot of folk I invested in turned around and talked about. A lot of family never helped me. When I got successful, they wanted me to help them. But the reason I don't get mad is there's a God that never failed me yet. He was there in the bad days. He was there in the darkest nights. He held my hand when there was nobody there. He wiped tears from my tear-drenched eyes. I can't get mad at you. I'm too busy thanking him. I am a miracle. He walks with me. He talks with me. He tells me. I don't know what he tells you. He tells me I'm his own. Yes. 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 Everybody say. Everybody say. the doors of the movement. There may be somebody here today, hears us on the radio, watches our activity on television, but never joined the National Action Network. We have active committees in various areas of life, and you can be a part of our organization and our pursuit of social justice. If you're here today and never joined, just come down to me and let us sign you up this morning to become a part of National Action Network. Come on. Everybody sing. Everybody sing. Everybody singing. Hey. Everybody singing. Singing like you mean it. Singing like you mean it. One more time, y'all. One more time, y'all. One more time, y'all. Yeah. All right. Want to, the young folk from Huddle meet here every Monday night. And it was started by Ashley Shelton. And 2 days ago was her birthday, the head of Huddle. Stand up, Ashley. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday. Happy birthday. All right. Let me raise our offering. For everybody to give to the best of your ability. Want to commend Reverend Daughtry. Bishop Daughtry did a press conference yesterday. I stated last week how we support the right of Colin Kaepernick. And now other athletes have joined in. I've been in touch with them around this issue. I need us to move quickly. As I said, we've got to get to UMass. I need about 8 people to start, about 8 people that can give $100 or more. Come quickly. Minister Winston Gilchrist. Reverend Daughtry, how much you need, kid? Oh, Reverend Daughtry, $100. Iris Battle, $100. Lord Dardell and family, $100. Technology Committee, $100. Attorney Smelcom, $100. Glad to see. Dr. Mildred, Reverend Mildred Salter, Valerie Wilson, Thank you. 20s, 20s, 20s. All right. Yeah, I got it. Now everybody, whatever you have, $1, $5, $10, whatever you have, come on. All right. We are, for the new members, 12 people joined last week. New members, we're going to have a new membership class. I'll be announcing it next Saturday. I'm starting a whole fall leadership class that I'm going to teach, that I want to teach the history of the movement and leadership skills. We used to do it on Madison Avenue. I've done it several years, but I'm going to do it. I will let people know when to sign up. I'll probably start the sign-ups on next Saturday. Even though there will be the Triumph Awards next Sunday in Atlanta, I will be here next Saturday, and then going on to the CBC and on to Atlanta. Let us all stand. Thank you. That's all right. Don't apologize for giving 50. Get out there. Oh, whoa. Let me dismiss it. We're all right. All right, thank you. Take your hand and press it next to you. Oh, man. After me, we're an African people. Robbed from our homeland. Robbed of our name. Our language. Our family. Our self-respect. respect, but we shall rise, never to fall again. Up, you mighty race, we can accomplish what we will. No justice, no peace, no justice, no peace, no justice, no peace. Shake hands with the one you're holding. Shake my hand before you leave.
Next to you, repeat after me. We're an African people, robbed of our homeland, robbed of our name, our language, our families, our self-respect. But we shall rise, never to fall again. Up, you mighty race. We can accomplish what we will. No justice, no peace, no justice, no peace, no justice, no peace. Shake hands with the